this morning in the House Health and Welfare Committee, I know a lot of people were up early watching this, House Bill 131. This would require that blood donors disclose whether or not they have taken an mRNA injection when they go to donate blood. That way the blood supply can be labeled with blood that has mRNA in it. And so obviously we are in a new world now where we still don't know the ramifications of mRNA, but a lot of people have a lot of questions. A lot of people have concerns about it, some more than others and others not at all. So this morning, Representative Chris Bruce, fantastic representative, a freshman, brought this bill. We watched some of the print hearing a couple of weeks ago, but now this bill had a full hearing this morning, and so we want to watch a little bit of Representative Chris Bruce present this bill to tell a little more about it.
131 is just a disclosure for an mRNA vaccination when you're donating blood. I know that there's been a lot of different questions, and so I'll answer those as they come up also after the testimony. But I look at this as more of adding to the consensus of what we're getting, more of like a pro-choice of what type of blood you can select. I'm not challenging the fact that they're testing or not testing. I'm not challenging whether it's safe or not safe. Being a leukemia survivor and asking for certain types of blood before, it's just something that I always believe was important, especially with what we're seeing, especially with like the Yale review that came out last week. So I'm just asking that you disclose it at the time that you've had an mRNA vaccination and they mark the blood, and that you're able to choose that for non-emergency situations. I want to clarify that as well. In an emergency situation, there'd be no way for you to choose whether you could have this blood or not. This is only for non-emergency situations. And I'm not saying that they have to provide it. If it is available and they can select it, then it's offered to them. But this doesn't hinder the ability to keep it in separate locations. It doesn't make them test the blood. It doesn't say it's more for just to.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. So that bill presented before the committee. There were some interesting exchanges back and forth. Like I said, it was a longer hearing this morning. Very, very well informed. A lot of folks on both sides of the issue. There were, I believe, the American Red Cross, a representative from the American Red Cross, the region's offices here, had concerns with, being able to properly identify the supply, especially if it comes from out of state where they don't do this yet. And so, these are the kind of bills that they sound like great right off the bat, but there's a lot of moving parts, especially when you're dealing with emergency situations in the blood supply across the country. So we want to be able to get this right, folks. We want to be able to have people have informed consent and be able to get this right. So with that, there was an exchange from Representative Furryman with Representative Chris Bruce that we found is almost like the key question here. So let's watch this.
It doesn't really make sense in my head that an mRNA vaccine is somehow still in your blood forever. Like that we're choosing the genetic makeup of the blood and that we're saying, I don't want that blood because it's been tainted with a vaccine that happened 10 years ago, potentially. We don't really know. And are we going down that path of saying we're going to pick and choose the genetic makeup of the person who donated our blood? Like, I don't see where an mRNA vaccine changes the blood. I don't understand. And I would love for you to teach me.
Representative Bruce.
Mr. Chairman and Representative Furman, I think you said that. You said we don't know, right? You said we don't know how long it stays in your blood. Or how, I mean, if you look at some of the tests before, but I think there's going to be people on both sides, people that take your opinion where they don't see any value in it, right? And it's not going to affect their lives. But there are a good consensus of people who do and who are concerned about it. And I think that we should open it up to those folks and not downplay their concerns.
Yeah, very well put there. Very, very well put. I mean, this is the whole point here. Everybody thinks that there's not a lot of people that are concerned about this, and when you're not concerned about it, you don't really pay attention to it too much. But it's obviously a lot of concern because there's a lot of folks on this particular bill. There's people who have been elected promising to do something about these types of situations. About these. I mean, we saw Senator Shippey. We played the whole hearing last week. Senator Shippey just trying to find a moratorium on actually even administering this gene therapy, this mRNA gene therapy stuff. So it is a big topic, and we're going to keep on it here. One interesting thing to note: there was a gentleman here who represented Vitaliant, I think it's called Vitaliant, but they're a blood donor. They do blood donations around the state here, and so they testified in opposition to this bill and had an interesting exchange here with the Democrat Ilana Rebel. Let's watch that.
I think I inferred these. So, follow up, Mr. Chairman. I guess I'm envisioning something like milk, where when you get milk, it might be from who knows how many cows. Is it like that? I mean, when you get a blood transfusion, might the blood you get be coming from 5 or 6 different people, or am I inferring that right?
Mr. Garrick.
Well, Mr. Chairman, Representative Rubel, depending on how many transfusions a patient receives, yes, a patient would receive donated blood from multiple individuals. Trauma victim can require up to 100 units of blood to replace their blood volume, multiple times during a traumatic event like that. So yeah, potentially 100 different donors can help save that patient's life.
Yeah. Okay. So I think I understood her question there. She was trying to figure out whether or not, when the blood donor centers collect blood, does it all go into like one big vat of blood, per blood type, like you would milk from cows, and then it's just dispersed in individual units everywhere? It sounded to me as though that the doctor there was saying that the unit itself may come from one individual, but if you required 100 units, it may come from multiple different people. So anyway, the bill did pass out of committee, and it will head to the floor for further debate. And then, of course, if it passes there, it'll head over to the Senate for consideration over there.